So let's talk about developing a comprehensive engagement plan. It is important to develop a comprehensive engagement plan because when you create a well-structured engagement plan, it will help you to achieve success in your community engagement effort. So, what is a comprehensive engagement plan? A comprehensive engagement plan is a strategic document that outlines the various activities and their corresponding timelines for effective community engagement. So you need to have a document that outlines everything you want to do in your community engagement effort or initiative. So you need to have a document that contains all your activities so that once you are implementing these activities, you have a document that is guiding you. So let's see how you can structure this plan. So your community engagement plan, your comprehensive engagement plan must have a title. Okay? You need it must have a title. So subtitle is what you are engaging the community on. So your subtitle can be something like engaging dash dash community for dash dash purpose, which can be flexible depending on the kind of initiative you are embarking on. So your community engagement plan must have table of content. So under the table of content, we have introduction, where you will talk about the overview of the engagement plan, the background information of the community. So here you will be talking about the background information of the community you are engaging. And this comprehensive engagement plan also will help your stakeholders to fully understand what your community engagement initiative is all about. So it's a document you can submit to your funders. It's a document you can submit to your partners. It's a document you can submit to key stakeholders within the community you want to engage. So after introduction, you need to clearly state your goals and objectives. We have talked about the goals and objectives. So you need to have a clear statement and the SMART objectives. So we are still on table of contents. You must have your stakeholder analysis. So here you must have your result of your stakeholder analysis here. What's not necessarily result, but what you are going to be doing under your stakeholder analysis. How you are going to be identifying key stakeholders and their interests. How you are going to be mapping your stakeholder. So you also need assessments. You also need to have need assessments under your table of contents. So under your need assessments, you are going to be writing on how to identify your community needs, the community needs and assets. Just all the techniques you have learned in the previous module, this is where you are going to be employing those techniques. You are also going to be conducting SWOT analysis. So here you are going to be writing how you are going to be conducting your SWOT analysis and the tools you are going to be using. Remember, we have discussed about different tools you can use to conduct SWOT analysis. So we also have engagement methods. Here you are going to be selecting the appropriate method for engagement. Remember, this is a plan. So this is a comprehensive plan. This is a document for your comprehensive plan. So you have to put everything in place. You have to put everything you will be doing in the document. So activities and timelines, you need to have a detailed list of engagement activities. What are you going to be doing? and what time are you going to be doing it, the timelines and the deadlines. So for example, your needs assessments, what are you going to be doing? How do you plan to identify the community needs? What are the tools you are going to be using? Is it the survey? Is it interview? Is it document review? All those things you need to have it on this in this document. Okay, resource allocation. Here you are going to be designing your budget. You are going to be putting your budget in place, what you are going to be procuring, what you are going to be getting, and the allocation plan. So if you are purchasing anything, this is where you are going to be listing it. You are going to be listing the plan you have towards allocating resources. If you are going to be using resources within the community, you are going to be engaging it. This is where you are going to be talking about it. Remember, we are still on the table of content. So collaborative partnerships, here you are going to be talking about how you are going to be identifying your potential partners. Then you are going to be drafting your agreements paper, your MOU, and your collaboration plans. So communication plan, here you are going to be talking about these different strategies you will be employing for your communication, your outreach. If you are going to be using communication channels, the communication channels you are going to be using, if it is face-to-face meeting, if it is workshop, if it is virtual engagement, if it is apps, if it is social media app, if it is video conferencing, all this here you are going to be talking about it. Communication strategies, if it is email, if it is phone call, here you are going to be talking about it, as well as the means of disseminating your plan. So we also have monitoring and evaluation. For monitoring and evaluation, here you are going to be talking about the indicators you will be using to monitor your community engagement initiative. The indicators, for example, the objectives we have talked about earlier. We talked about the indicators, what you are going to be using to measure. So for example, we talked about uh, increasing the knowledge of 500 EU citizens who are young people. So here you are going to be measuring the performance. If actually you are going to be reaching out to 500 people, what are the indicators you are expecting? So if you achieve your goal, your objective, what are the indicators? So these are the performance indicators. So in the indicators could be that you have successfully increased the knowledge of 500 people. So what are you going to be measuring? Their knowledge. So that means you are going to be having their knowledge level before the engagement and after. So these are what will form your indicators. So you are going to be, designing a monitoring and evaluation plan. Okay. And you are going to be collecting data and also evaluate the data. So here you are going to be also putting the timeline for data collection. So risk assessments and mitigation, you also have to put that. Ethical consideration, here you are going to be drafting your the privacy, the consent form, and so on. For the timeline, you are going to be designing a comprehensive timeline for all the engagement activities you are going to be carrying out. Then you need to have a conclusion on your document as well as appendices. So we talked about preparing a comprehensive timeline of engagement activities. So there is a project management tool that can be used to design a comprehensive timeline of engagement activities, which is called Gantt chart. So this is an example of Gantt chart. looking at it, you can design Gantt chart on Excel. So you use Excel to design your Gantt chart. So you can have different Gantt charts templates, or you can design different Gantt charts depending on what you want to achieve with them. So this is a monthly task Gantt chart. So looking at it, you would see different columns and different rows. You can see the activity. You can see the phase 1 title. Let's say your community engagement has 2 phases. You can see phase 1 title and phase 2, and you can see how the tasks are arranged. So here you are going to be listing what you want to do. Maybe the first task is to carry out a need assessment. Maybe the second task is to carry out SWOT analysis or stakeholder mapping. Then you can see another column that is showing percentage done. You can see assigned to. So this is for your team members. So if you have assigned tasks to your team members, this is where you are going to be writing the name of the person that is handling each task. Now you can see that here we have the start date and the end date, and at the upper column here you can see months. You can see May, June, July, August, September. So looking at this Gantt chart, it means that this is an initiative that will be carried out from May and will be ending by September. So this is like a 5-month initiative or 5-month project. So you can see, because it is monthly, each of the months were listed, and the months were now broken down into weeks. So you can see that we have month 1, which is the May. So May has 5 weeks. You can see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. You can see the week start date, which is 2nd of May, and the week 2 start date, which is 9th, week 3, which is 16th, and so on and so on. So let's look at this color. These different colors means the progress of your work. It measures the progress of your task. You are the one that will color it using the highlighting key on your Excel sheet. So you can only color when you have progressed, when you have achieved those tasks. So looking at this is an example. Here it is showing that the task, which is starting from 2nd of May and ending by 19th of May, has been completed. So you can see the color, it has been colored. Week 1, week 2, week 3 has been colored. And here, if you are to be writing the percentage done, here you are going to be writing 100%, because looking at it, here it has been achieved. But looking at the other task, you would see that from the start date, for instance, the task 3 is 16th of May. So let's say it has been achieved already, it has been colored, then ending by 24th of May, you would see that it has been colored. Okay, so this is from 16 to 27. You can see that it is aligning with the week of 16th to the week of 27. So let's say this is not yet done. That means it will not have any color. So all this here are assumed that it has been done, and here you are going to be writing the percentage. So let's say that here everything has been done. That means you will have 100% here. So for example, if it is 50% done, you will write 50% here. So if it is a task of 10 weeks and you have been able to achieve 50% of it, maybe you have been able to follow through for 5 weeks, you have done 5 weeks out of the 10 weeks task, then you have to color it until the 5th week, and you are going to be writing 50% done, because you have been able to achieve 50% of the task. So if it is less than that, you write it. So this is to follow up your timeline of activities. So this is very good if you can follow through. So this will list all the tasks you need to do. So it will break down the activities and the timeline of those activities. So this is monthly. Okay, you need to design it on an Excel sheet. So this is weekly. You can see it doesn't have months but week, and the week has been broken down into days. You can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if you compare it with the monthly, you will see that monthly doesn't have the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because it is monthly. So it was only broken down to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and so on. So for the weekly, it was broken down to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So let's say you have a weekly task. So what are you going to be doing on Monday? So if you have been able to achieve what you are going to be doing on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, so that is how you color. Then who is it assigned to, and if it is done, how many percent done. So this is what a Gantt chart look like. And you can decide to use the work schedule for each team member. You can see here team member name, you can see here project name. So that is the difference. So this is for all team members. So if you are assigning a task to, let's say you are assigning a task to Raphael. So Raphael is handling task 1. Raphael can decide to go and design a Gantt chart for his own task, and for task 1 he can start checking the activities and the progress. So this is the activity and this is the progress. So this is very, very important. You need to have a comprehensive timeline of engagement activity. So listing your activities and the timeline. So this will guide you on what needs to be done and when it should be done. So that is Gantt chart. So this is another way of designing a comprehensive timeline. You can decide to make it more comprehensive than using just the Gantt chart. You can decide to incorporate the Gantt chart into the objective. So you can decide to add your objectives, your activity, your sub-activity, the output of your activity, then the timeline, the due date, and the person responsible. So that the major difference between this and this is that this Gantt chart doesn't have the objective, doesn't have the sub-activity or the output. So depending on your preference, you can decide to have a more comprehensive timeline, especially when you are submitting to your stakeholders. You can make it more comprehensive by adding the objectives to it and the activity, as well as the people responsible for that. So when we were talking about the community engagement plan, I talked about allocating your resources. So you need to also understand how to prepare a budget. So this is example of preparing your community engagement initiative budget. So this is an activity-based budgeting. So each of your activities, each of the things you are getting, you are going to be having it on an Excel sheet. The unit is the number, the unit type is whatever the item, the unit of the item. Okay, so for example, trainers number, how many number or how many months. So it could be number or it could be month. So for example, if you are facilitating an awareness or knowledge sharing session, you could have trainers. It could be maybe 3 trainers. So quantity, the frequency is how many times. Okay, so if you're having 3 trainers, if it is 10 times in a month, that is the frequency. So what is the unit cost? So let's say maybe you want to pay the trainers. If the unit cost is $500 per one training, that means you are going to be multiplying the unit cost with the quantity. Okay, so you are going to be, let's say you are going to be having 3 trainees in a month. Okay, 3 trainees in a month, then each unit cost is 500. So 3 trainers here, this is the quantity of the trainer. 3 trainers, 10 times, then 500. So if the unit cost is 500 for all the frequency, then you are going to be paying 3 trainers. That is 3 times 500, that is $15,000 US. So that is how to use this budget template. So this is a typical activity-based budgeting. So you need to also, write everything you are going to be needing. So this is for personnel, this is for equipment and vehicles. Let's say you want to acquire some equipment, and this is activities. Let's say you want to provide lunch for training sessions, you want to print training materials. So this is an example, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the exact template you should use for your community engagement initiative. So you can tweak this to align with whatever you are doing. But this is a standard activity-based budgeting template. So this is another example. You can see it is different from this. So you can decide to stick to whatever that works for you. So you can see description, you can see unit type, you can see number of units, you can see quantity, unit cost, total cost. So description is training workshop. So this is a budget for a training workshop. So conference room rental. So let's say you want to carry out a community engagement initiative and you want to rent a conference room. So the unit type is days. How many days now? Number of units, 5 days. So for 5 days you will be having one conference room. So that means you are going to be paying for the 5 days. So if the quantity, the per unit cost, if this unit cost for one conference room is $35 and you'll be using it for 5 days, that means you are going to be multiplying 5 times 35, which will give us 175. So if you are renting one conference room, but you are going to be using it for 5 days, and each day costs $35, that means you are going to be multiplying by 35. So that is that you need to study others. For example, lunch and refreshments. If you are getting for 5 persons, so if you are getting for 5 persons, then and what you are going to be getting is maybe 25 units. So let's say that you are going to be getting 25 you are going to be getting for 5 days. You can see 5 days here. So let's say we have training for 5 days, that means 5 quantity per day. So if the quantity is 5 per day and you are going to be having trainings for the 5 days, that means that is why it is 25. Okay, so 5 food for each of the trainers, which are 5, and for 5 days, which makes it 25 units. Then if you are allocating $5 for each of the food, that means you are going to be multiplying by the 25. So 5 times 25, which is 625. So you need to look at that. Okay, so that is that about preparing a budget. So let's look at the skills that you need when implementing community engagement initiatives. So you need facilitation skills, you need moderation skills depending on the kind of community engagement initiative you are embarking on. So these skills are needed to ensure that campaign activities, meetings, workshops, and discussions run smoothly and productively. So the thing is, in many community engagement initiatives, you cannot avoid meetings because you are engaging with people, either your primary stakeholder or your secondary stakeholder or your key stakeholder. You are engaging with people. You might be carrying out workshops. You might be leading discussions. So you need these skills, facilitation and moderation skills. So because you also need a campaign skills because of the European Parliament election campaign program, the campaign you'll be carrying out, you also need campaign skills. So apart from the facilitation and moderation skills which are listed here, you also need the campaign skills. So let's look at the campaign skills. So campaign skills, you need strategic planning, okay? For your campaign, you need to plan strategically, you need to develop your message, and your message should be tailored towards the goals of your community engagement initiative. You also need to segment your audience. You also need the skills to segment your audience. So who are your audience? Are they old? Are they young? So you need to segment them so that you will be able to have a method, to have an appropriate engagement method. Okay, you also have to be able to communicate well. So you need the media and communication skill. You need content creation skills. You may want to share what you do online on your social media. So you need to also know how to create content. Stakeholder engagement is also necessary. Is a skill that you need if you are carrying out a campaign. You need to understand how to engage stakeholder. Okay, you also need other skills such as digital marketing, because you will be uh working with digital tools. Okay, digital tools, you also need to understand how to put out your words out there using technology, using social media. Event planning is also a crucial skill for campaign programs. Data collection and analysis, it's also important. Feedback collection, you should be able to know how to design surveys. You should be able to know how to design Google Form. You should be able to know how to use different applications that can serve as a feedback loop. Crisis management is also there. Evaluation and reporting is also there. So at the end of your campaign program, for the European Parliament election campaign, you are going to be writing a report. So knowing how to write a report is an important skill of campaign program. So let's look at the summary of this module. In this module, we talked about how to set clear objectives and goals. We talked about the differences between objectives and goals, and also I gave some examples that aligns with the European Parliament election campaign that you are going to be embarking on later. I gave examples that can be your goals and objectives. Also, I talked about the suitable engagement methods that you can choose based on community context and objectives. Also, we have talked about how to develop comprehensive engagement plans. I've been able to show you how to plan your document, how to structure your documents, so title, subtitle, the table of content which has the goal and objective, and up until the conclusion part. Also, we talked about allocating resources and I've shown you how to design a budget, how to design a budget that will help you to allocate your resources efficiently. I also talked about the crucial skills you need to implement community engagement initiative. I talked about facilitation and moderation skills as well as campaign skills. Thank you so far. This marks the end of community engagement essential course. I hope you have been able to learn a lot about preparing, designing, and implementing your community engagement activities. And I believe this will really help you in your campaign activities that you'll be embarking on after this training. Thank you for sticking around from Module 1 up until this time. It is a pleasure to have you on this course. It is also important to appreciate our partners for the support so far. Thank you very much. And also to appreciate our funders who supported us to make this possible.